Hello students, welcome to All Fours E-Learning Junior Intermediate English class. Very pleased to appear before you again, my dear young children. So previously I taught you the one act play, If I Were You. So today I am here to explain you one of the poems which belongs to module 2, that is the Royal Tombs of Golconda. Tomb. So it should be written like this. B is silent. Tombs. Royal Tombs of Golconda. Let me ask you a question before I start. Where is Golconda Fort? Eventually you tell it is in Hyderabad, and some of you might have visited it. Have you ever visited Qutub Shahi rulers' tombs? 7 tombs are there very near to Golconda Fort. Have you ever visited them? Some of you say yes, some of you say no. But if you read the poem, you can really enjoy and you can come to know the nobility, greatness, generosity of Qutub Shahi rulers and the beauty of the queens. It's a wonderful poem written by Sarojini Naidu. You know very well about Sarojini Naidu, and she lived from 1879 to 1949. She was born in 1879 and lived up to 1949. She was born to Bengali parents in Hyderabad. Okay, as a child prodigy, prodigy means extraordinary. She started writing poems which reveal the Indian glory and culture worldwide. It has got recognition worldwide. She influenced Mahatma Gandhi ji by participating in Indian national movement with her speeches and with her writings and with her poems. That's why the father of the nation gave her a title, the Nightingale of India. She was the first woman president of Indian National Congress and also the first governor of Indian province at that time, which is in Uttar Pradesh at present. And she wrote many poems. Here are given, the list of the poems is given here: The Golden Threshold, The Bird of Time, Songs of Life, The Broken Wing, Death and the Spring, The Sceptred Flute, Songs of India, The Feather of the Dawn. Okay, dear students, the generosity of Sarojini Naidu, we can come to know how, because her own house, which is located in the heart of Hyderabad city, the Golden Threshold, the name of the house, that was given to government for government services. Okay, dear students, so here in this particular poem, the poetess clearly or vividly, lucidly tells or describes the valor and the glory of Qutub Shahi rulers. Okay, so these 7 tombs are located just 2 kilometers away from Golconda Fort at Ibrahim Bagh. Okay, so in this particular poem, what she reveals, the valor, the gallantry, okay, and the greatness, their generosity and the beauty of the queens is clearly revealed. Every arch, every tomb and every dome, every gallery is a symbol for the extraordinary architecture of Qutub Shahi rulers dynasty. Okay, she visited that particular place and she went to that era. Okay, dear students, here in this particular poem, the poetess has used the rich imagery. Okay, the poem is in the form of symmetry and there is a rhyme scheme also. A, B, like that. First line and second line tells about the same one. A, B, C, D like that. That is called rhyme scheme. You can find if you read the poem. She visited and she went to that era. Totally she was mesmerized and described the poem vividly, and with this poem how great Qutub Shahi rulers we can come to know. It is in the form of stanzas. First two stanzas tell about the place. Second two stanzas tell about the kings. And third two stanzas tell about the queens. It is in the form of symmetry. If you read each stanza, you can easily understand, my dear students. I hope that you have the textbook with you. Please open it if you have, and I read out the poem first of all and I'll explain line to line. I hope that to your satisfaction I may try to explain, my dear students. Please pay attention. Okay. I muse among these silent fanes, whose spacious darkness guards your dust. Around me sleep the hoary plains that hold your ancient wars. That hold your ancient wars in trust. I pass my dreaming spirit hears across the wind's unquiet tides the glimmering music of spears, the laughter of your royal brides. In vain, O kings, doth time aspire to make your names oblivion sport, while yonder hill wears like a tire the ruined grandeur of your fort. Though centuries falter and decline, your province strongholds shall remain, embodied memories of your line, incarnate legends of your reign. O queens, in vain fate decreed your flower-like bodies to the tomb. Death is in truth the vital seed of your imperishable bloom. Each newborn year the bulbuls sing their songs of your innocent love. Your beauty wakens with spring to kindle these pomegranate groves. This is the poem, my dear students. Try to by heart the stanzas, because in the examination, if you write poetic lines, it will be an added advantage, and there is a possibility of getting maximum marks. Now let me try to explain line by line. The poetess visited Qutub Shahi rulers' tombs, which are located at Ibrahim Bagh, 2 kilometers away from Golconda Fort. I refer to whom here? The poetess Sarojini Naidu. I muse among these silent fanes. Muse means think seriously. She went there, she stood there, and she started thinking. She went somewhere. She has imagined. she went to that era and explaining. She is trying to explain very clearly, very lucidly, whose spacious darkness guards your dust. Silent fanes, fanes means sacred places. There at that place sometimes prayers performed by the people of that cult. Okay. And whose spacious darkness guards your dust. The area was very spacious, very wide. Okay. Guards means protects your dust. The rulers are not alive now. It is inevitable to everybody to be mingled in the earth. Some people may be buried, some people may be extinguished after death. Okay, so though they are buried or though they are extinguished, they are in the earth, and that is protected even today. When anybody visits that particular place, people remind them. Physically they are not present, but they are guarded, their names are protected, their names are revealed. That's why the poetess says like that, around me sleep the hoary plains, around me sleep the hoary plains that hold your ancient wars in trust. Around her, old, hoary means old, and very wide, plains means lands. Around me, hoary plains that hold your ancient wars in trust. Wars took place in that particular area. She has an imagination, visualization. The poetess has a visualization. The kings and the princes were ready to participate in the war. They were very much truthful to their subjects, means people. They were ready to participate in the war with their weapons. Okay, dear students, that hold your ancient wars in trust, and they were very much truthful. The Qutub Shahi rulers were very much truthful, and they always thought about the subjects, that means their people. Okay, this is the first stanza, my dear students, and you can find the rhyme scheme here, fanes, plains, dust, trust, like that in all stanzas you can find the rhyme scheme, my dear students. I pause, my dreaming spirit hears. I pause. She stayed there. She stayed there only, she stood. But her dreaming spirit continues. And in that she could hear something. What did she hear, and how did she hear? Across the wind's unquiet tides. Where did she hear? Across the wind's unquiet tides. Unquiet means not quiet, means noisy. Tides, like that, continuously the tides came and they were noisy. We can find tides in water and in the wind also, wind tides. Okay, across the wind's unquiet tides. And what could she hear in that tides the glimmering music of your spears, the laughter of your royal brides. The glimmering music of your spears, so it is in the form of a conversation. In the imagination, the poetess went to that era and she was almost talking to the Qutub Shahi rulers directly. The glimmering music of your spears. They used spears at that time to participate in the war. Spear is nothing but a big pole, and at the end of that pole there will be a steel knife like that, like this they throw. The glimmering music of your spears. Glimmering means shining. Then how do they shine? They shine because the sun rays fall on them. They are shining beautifully, and again here the poetess has used rich imagery. Try to understand. And the music is generated. It's imagery. And as the music is generated, the sun rays fall on the spears and the sun rays dance. When there is music, naturally we dance. Here the sun rays also dance. So that is picturesque presentation. What a wonderful presentation of the poetess. So there is a music. In the imagination she could find. Music is generated when the sun rays fall on the spears and they dance rhythmically. And those spears shine brightly. This is one thing she experienced and she heard the music. And the other one is the laughter of your royal brides. Royal brides. The laughter, you see, their laugh was also exquisite. Their laugh was also beautiful. Their laugh was also wonderful. And she heard that laugh. Whose laugh did she hear? The laugh of royal brides. Brides means you know very well. They were ready to marry. They were in merry mood. And the princes, the sons of kings, went out, participate in the war. They won the war. They came back. The success was shared by the brides. They were happy. They were in ecstatic mood. They were in enjoyment. That's why they were laughing happily. And that laugh was heard by Sarojini Naidu in her imagination. Okay, dear students, this is the second stanza. Third stanza, you just pay attention. In vain, O kings, doth time aspire to make your names oblivion sport. While yonder hill wears like a tire the ruined grandeur of your fort. Listen carefully. Vain means useless. In vain doth time aspire. Time, you know very well. Aspire means intents. Doth aspire means aspires. Time aspires. Time intends. Time inclines. Time desires. Time craves. To make your name's oblivion sport. To make your names. Oblivion means make one forgetful. Okay, so it's like a sport, oblivion sport. What is here oblivion? Forgetting something. After some days, we forget the people who were with us. This is a general strategy. So in due course of time, we may forget the people who were with us. That is the time. That is the nature of time which makes forgetful. But here, in case of Qutub Shahi rulers, the attempt of time is in vain, means futile, means waste, means failure. How? Because their names are not forgotten. Qutub Shahi rulers were not forgotten. They are still in the hearts of people. Even today we are discussing the greatness of Qutub Shahi rulers after so many years. Then the attempt of the time is nothing but a failure. So that is the thing. We should read the lines of a poem very consciously. Then we can understand the meaning. Okay. While yonder hill wears like a tire. Yonder means to that side. Just very near to these 7 Qutub Shahi rulers' tombs, there is a fort. And here the explanation of Sarojini Naidu is really fantastic. There is a fort that seems to be a tire, wears like a tire. It is nothing but a protective layer. Which fort is present very near to Ibrahim Bagh, Golconda? And you also remember, so that is like a protective layer, that is like a tire. What is the shape of the tire? It is like a circle. Those tombs are protected like that. And the ruined grandeur of your fort. Grandeur means splendidness. Their grandeur, their splendidness is protected. Of course, they are to some extent ruined, but the splendidness is still abound, that is being protected. The fort is like a protective layer which is present very near to Ibrahim Bagh. Okay, dear students, one more thing you remember here, the monument to Golconda is a mute testimony of Qutub Shahi rulers' nobility, enlightenment, and their greatness. It is a mute witness. It is a mute witness to their greatness. to their valor, to their bravery, to their kindness. So that is the thing. So here next stanza, let us see. So here in these two stanzas we can come to know the greatness of kings. Though centuries falter and decline, centuries have passed away, okay, and there is some sort of reduction or declination, okay, your proven strongholds shall remain. Though centuries have passed away, your proven strongholds shall remain. Strongholds are nothing but the refuge where they stayed, where they lived. Of course, to some extent, they might have been ruined. Proven strongholds shall remain. They are still remain. They are still present. Of course, the renovation work is going on even at present also. So their architecture was splendid, marvelous, mind-blowing. If we visit those tombs, we can come to know. We are supposed to visit, we can see them. We can come to know the greatness of Qutub Shahi rulers. And you see here, embodied memories of your line, incarnate legends of your reign. Embodied memories of your line, included the memories of your line. Line means here lineage, generations, different generations. We can find the memories. We can have the memories if we visit that particular place. The strongholds, the places where they lived, the shelters where they lived, we can have some sort of memories. Suppose if you go to your native place, you have your own house. If you visit your own house, obviously you can have some sort of memories. So in the same way, they have their memories, included the memories of all the Qutub Shahi generations, and incarnate legends of your reign. Incarnate is nothing but human form. Legends very famous because of very great, very famous. And here you see incarnate legends of your reign. Reigns means ruling. The human form is visible there. If we visit, for example, Taj Mahal, we can see Shah Jahan and Mumtaz. We can have some sort of visualization. Suppose if we say Bahubali, we can have visualization of Rajamouli. For example, my dear students, so the human form of those legends appear when we visit that particular places. We can find them in those tombs. So this is pertaining to the great kings. Though centuries falter and decline, your proven strongholds shall remain. What is found in that? Embodied memories of your line, incarnate legends of your reign. And what is left? We have discussed the greatness of the kings, now queens. O queens, in vain the old fate decreed. O queens, in vain old fate decreed regarding king's time, regarding queen's fate. You know very well what fate is. Decreed means giving final judgment. Fate, that influences a lot. What was the influence of fate on queens? Your flower-like bodies to the tombs. Flower-like bodies to the tombs. They were very, very, very sensitive. They were beautiful. They were glorious, swanky. Okay. And they were very sensitive to the tombs. Flower-like bodies to the tombs. When do bodies are in tombs? After the soul is departed from our body. Queens might have died, but their beauty is eternal. They remain forever. The valor of kings is eternal. The beauty of queens is eternal. There, the attempt of time is futile. Here, the attempt of fate is futile, waste. They are not forgotten. The greatness of kings is not forgotten. The beauty of queens is not forgotten. They are forever. And you see here, death is in truth the vital seed. In everybody's life, what is the certain thing that happens? That is death. Here the poetess has used the vital seed. Seed, you know very well, the beginning. They died, but their death is like a seed, and that seed grew and it became a big tree and their names are still remembered. Their glory is still abound. Their beauty is still known to people. The death is in truth the vital seed of your imperishable bloom. The bodies may be perished, but the glory is imperishable, that never be perished. Man is mortal, but art is immortal, remember. Qutub Shahi, beautiful queens might have died, but their beauty is forever. That is imperishable. Their beauty, their glory is imperishable. Okay, dear students, each newborn year the bulbuls sing songs of your renascent love. Each newborn year the bulbuls sing. There is a garden nearby. It's a vast area. There is a garden. In that garden there are bulbuls, birds. They sing. And what do they sing? Songs. And what is present in their songs? Reviving the love of Qutub Shahi rulers. Songs of your innocent love that is being revived, that is being regenerated. In their songs we can come to know how Qutub Shahi rulers' love and affection, and how the Qutub Shahi rulers' love towards brides, okay, and how beautiful the brides were at that time. Your beauty wakens with the spring, to kindle these pomegranate grows. Your beauty wakens with the spring. To kindle these pomegranate grows. Your beauty again wakens, regenerates with the spring season. You know how beautiful the spring season is. You know how fascinating the spring season is. It's really fantastic. And beauty wakens again, regenerates again, to grow again. So when anybody visits the particular place in spring season and that area is fascinating, automatically we can come to know the beauty of Qutub Shahi queens. We can just visualize the beauty of Qutub Shahi rulers again. Their beauty is regenerated in spring season. It is nothing but some sort of similes the poetess has used. Imagery, rich imagery is used. Picturesque presentation, imagination. So that is the thing, my dear students. So the attempt of time is futile and the attempt of fate is waste. The kings' names are not forgotten, their glory is not forgotten, they are still in the hearts of people and they are eternal, and their strongholds still remain. Embodied memories of your line, the poetess says, incarnate legends, they are in the human form. If we visit, we can visualize them. Okay, each tomb, if we visit a particular tomb, the king of that particular, the name of the king, we can visualize how great he was, how they ruled the people, how they ruled the subjects at that time. Otherwise, why do we discuss about them today? They were very great. They were philanthropists. They were wonderful. They thought about the people, and the beauty of the queens also is eternal. And finally, we can simply say in one line that the reign of Qutub Shahi rulers was synonymous with peace, culture and prosperity. Synonymous with peace, culture and prosperity. There was peace and very good culture was maintained by them, and they were very prosperous. They looked after the people very well. Okay, dear students, the symmetry is used and rhyme scheme is used. Very good words are there. Vocabulary is also given, and of course it takes more time to explain this particular poem, but we have given a stipulated time. So if you read the poem, you can understand, my dear students. Read them, and in the examination when you write an answer from this particular poem, you mention the poetic lines and you can write some quotations also. Then the answer will be extraordinary and the examiner may award you full marks. So with this, I can conclude my lecture. I hope that you have understood very well. And for listening to my lecture and for watching the video, I express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you. I wish you all the best. We meet again soon. Thank you.